Hey guys, Toxic here. This is Battle Bros episode 6. With me today, Step
Hello.
and Savage.
Sup?
And today we are talking about Warhammer 30k. Well, I guess, should say, Horus Heresy Battles of the Age of Darkness, or whatever they want to call it, that no one actually does call it. It's 30k. Uh, that's what we've been getting into, as, you've probably seen if you watching this video. I assume that you might also seen Allies Index, so we are posting our stuff, and we've been posting a lot of 30k, and we're just gonna be doing kind of a first impressions. I know it's been out for a long time now, about 3 years, um, but we just played our first games, pretty recently. We've been painting up a lot, and we just, played our first games, so we thought we'd just kind of talk about where we're gonna go from there, and how we felt. So, a quick, brief overview. We've started painting up our forces. Seb, you want to go over yours a little bit and why you chose it and who you chose?
Yeah. Okay. So we've been working around a campaign structure, starting with 750 points, and moving up 250 points every couple of weeks. Myself, I went with the Raven Guard because I kind of fell in love with them due to the Horus Heresy books and audio dramas. Raven's Flight, One Love. But yeah, so I'm myself running Praetor with Raven's Claw with some Terminators, and I've got some tactical squads, and soon to be adding a Mortis Contemptor with the Keris Auto assault cannons. Good stuff. So sneaky, and some shooty with the beakies.
Nice. Savage.
Yes.
Who'd you choose? Why'd you choose him? And how's it going for you?
Yes. I chose the Iron Warriors because I don't know. Because I wanted to do Iron Warriors, I guess. I've
Yeah.
done World Eaters before, not in 30k, but in 40k, and played a couple of Space Marine armies in the past as well. So Iron Warriors is one of the I've always been a fan of. Read a couple of the books, like the way that their fluff is, sort of thing. So I thought I'd give them a try.
Nice. And I chose Imperial Fist because Seb hates him. No, I'm just kidding. But
Damn you, Volta! Discipline!
I originally chose Space Wolves, but it kind of fell out from Space Wolves because that's what I always do with Space Wolves. Plus, it's just they don't have any special rules or anything yet in 30k, so it wasn't as exciting making lists. So I changed over to Night Lords because Night Lords, there's really no. I guess it was like half fluff and then half rules. One of the things I liked about them was that the terror squads, you could make them out of the Betrayal at Kelt set, so that was a pretty big plus. And then obviously they have a Primarch, they have the first Captain model out, so that was pretty cool as well. I found them pretty cheap on eBay, so I bought them first and then decided to go Night Lords. And I just enjoyed painting them, and honestly changing was for the best because the excitement for me has grown tremendously just by picking a faction that has some rules and some special rules and stuff. Because, in all honesty, in 30k you are picking from the same pool of models, so what really differentiates you from anyone else is your special models and your special rules and stuff, and it really does. It doesn't look like it when you may be looking at Forge World's website and stuff, and you're going through looking at the models, but there is quite a lot difference. It almost feels like you are playing different codexes at times. Seb and I had a non-campaign related game the other night, and it was like the armies were completely different and the different special rules and stuff. We forgot most of them, but the ones we remembered were really fun. So I've been going Night Lords, but I'm definitely excited enough that I want to get the Night Lords done, and so I can experiment with other things. Because I think we all basically went for fluff when it came to picking our armies. Because because just like any other game, any other rule system, some things are stronger than others. But yeah, so
There's a nice amount of variety, I think, with the, like you said, with all, how different everything is. There is an interesting balance with everything.
there is, yeah, but I'll probably go into it a little bit later. But there is definitely some top tier legions compared to some of the other ones. Yeah, so we played our first game that we played was a campaign game. It was Zone Mortalis, so a little bit different there as well. We've played Zone Mortalis before, Seb and myself. Savage, it was his first time playing Zone Mortalis. Just speaking purely from Zone Mortalis, Savage, how'd you find that?
Terrible.
Yeah? Was it
Yeah.
terrible because you got beat so bad by Seb? Or
It was terrible. I'd like to plead the Fifth Amendment.
I don't think we're going to get a good representation of Zone Mortalis from Savage, but Seb, you've played Zone Mortalis, well, probably quite a few times now. I mean, we've played at least probably about 5 games of Zone Mortalis, I would say. You've definitely been on the end of both spectrums when it comes to losing and winning, so I think you can give us a nice, even perspective on how Zone Mortalis is.
I really enjoy it. It's nice to have a bit more of an enclosed encounter from time to time, but also just the mission systems and the way you can run scenarios just worked so well. Like so for this first arc of the campaign, we had like one of your Night Lord captains trapped in a prison, and my Night Lord's my Raven Guard defending against Savage's Iron Warriors. And later we had your Night Lords coming to save their captain again and destroying the engines of the ship. It's just, there's some real fluffy, awesome kind of scenarios you can use in Zone Mortalis, missions on the board setup. But plus, once we had the engines all blowing up for the final mission, is it catastrophic damage? Is that the table?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that just adds it's just crazy. Like we had whole corridors losing pressure and crazy things happening. It really changes a lot of how various weapons and various situations play out, which just adds more diversity and enjoyment to the game.
Yeah, it's interesting playing on that terrain as well, where it's like you're in hallways. There is no cover. Like once you step out in that hallway, you got to be prepared. Like, and there was a really fun part when in our game, Seb, where I had to get my tactical support squad up to the end of the map to take on the last objective, or the second last objective, but you had your veterans in the hallway, and I was making a mad dash to get across so I didn't get killed, and I needed like a 6 to make it into the next hallway, and I did. And it was just like this really exciting feel where I had to be like, if I don't make that run, what am I going to do? And I had to get my Praetor and like charge him headlong into your veterans, because otherwise they were going to get shot down. And it really does have kind of a claustrophobic feel to the fights, but still does feel quite open. I feel like if Zone Mortalis terrain was cheaper, obviously for us it's super cheap because we're using Vassal, but if it was cheaper, I feel like Betrayal of Calth would be the perfect like starting point, because every model in there can be used on Zone Mortalis.
Yeah.
And like, I really enjoy Zone Mortalis, and it's one of the things where I'm like, I could probably see myself just building like 1,000-point Zone Mortalis like force that I just have for Zone Mortalis like fights. Like maybe some Imperial Fists.
or salamanders, because all those flame templates. Is it getting shred and rending? Yeah, nasty.
But it's just really fun. All the rules just like feel that absolutely brutal. Like all the rules are brutal, but they're also very just they just feel like they work. I really enjoy it. You can play it in. I believe it started in Horus Heresy, the first book, where it was based around the bunkers on Isfahan.
Yeah.
And then in the third book, that's when they brought it into space. We were playing in space in our campaign, and I think that's where it really shined. Was in space. It wasn't just these closed confines. It was like you're in a ship, like.
And actually, it feels like you are fighting across the ship. We had like different missions for different decks and stuff. You could really map out a whole even like a monastery cruiser. Like they could have a massive campaign worked out with different Somatalis boards. You could get like a whole ship.
Well, there's a mini wargaming game that I watched where they had they were playing Zone Mortalis, but they had like gardens and stuff like in like so it was like big parts of the ship where there were gardens and things like that, and I was like that's kind of cool. There's also rules for that where you play on the outside of the ship trying to get in, where instead of going through the ship, you just go on the outside right next to the point that you want to get, and the attacker can actually choose to be like, I'm gonna do that, and if the defender accepts it, it just like makes it so it's like 2 missions for the campaign where it's just like this all or nothing. The mission is actually called All or Nothing, where it's just the fight takes place on the outside of the ship. Is brutal, but yeah, real fun.
That sounds awesome because I've not I hadn't seen that, but I've seen like there's a whole big bit in but is it not Betrayal of Calth, whatever the Calth book is, No Fear, with the Ultramarines and the Word Bearers having a good old scrap on the outside. So again, that works beautifully for the Betrayal of Calth set.
Yeah, but yeah, so that was kind of where we're at when it came to the games. Obviously, there was some mixed kind of emotions for the games. Always put his headset back on. Here we go. Yeah, Savage got absolutely destroyed by Seb.
Fuck you. That was HR, by the way.
Yeah.
I seem to impress.
So the games obviously have mixed feelings there, but overall, as 30k as a whole, from what we've experienced building our lists, putting together our models, painting our models, the rules that we've experienced so far, and the rules that we're still yet to play, how is your first impressions?
I'd like to plead the Fifth Amendment.
Okay, we'll start with Seb. We'll start with Seb. Give me some time to think about it.
I really am enjoying it. There is like you said, like each Legion almost seems like a codex in itself. Because like in 40k with Space Marines, what's the average? Because I've not really played Loyalists in 40k. What's the average kind of rules differentiating between Legions that don't get a specific codex?
Like the ones, like the chapter kind of like, so like Salamanders and Ultramarines, like kind of like that. Not as much as there is in 30k. It's kind of like, I think, I know this is going back in edition now, but it was like Salamanders had like their flame templates, or their flamers were twin linked or something, and their melters were master crafted or something, and then you had like Ultramarines who had like a special rule that they could activate, like once per turn for their infantry, once per game for this, and like White Scars had like hidden run on their bikes and stuff. It was probably like a couple of rules, but not a whole bunch. Definitely not as much information as they give you, because they give you, not only do they give you special rules for just taking the Legion, they give you special rules for taking the Rite of War, which is kind of like almost like a formation special rules from 40k, but like accompanied to a HQ. And then they give you actually specific war gear as well, and specific units,
and specific restrictions as well.
Yeah, and restrictions. Yeah. It's almost, honestly, it's almost like when you take a Rite of War, it's almost like a formation from 40k. I find, because it gives you additions and subtractions, but it's all tied to taking your HQ. So it kind of is like putting like a cookie cutter on it, I guess, where it's like it cuts out some parts and adds some things. That's kind of what it is. But yeah, so they definitely give you a lot.
Yeah, well, I'm saying I'm just loving how that just it gets you into the fluff. It gets you into how to build the army. Like for instance, with Raven Guard, all the infantry apart from jump infantry get infiltrate and can obviously outflank as well. So you can get yourself in sneak positions or bring yourself in later in the game. But also then you can't take more than 25%. Not with Legiones Astartes, so you can't take too many vehicles and tanks and stuff, which is just fits the style.
And they and they have an ability to use charcoal on their trim.
Yeah, sorry, I should have mentioned this. We were talking about why we chose our legions and the reasons we love them so much. I'm getting a lot of grief, and I just don't care. They're Raven Guard are very simple to paint, and I'm keeping mine very, very black.
Yeah, they charcoal their trim so it's not shiny.
Yeah, you don't want to be shiny when you're sneaking around.
Yeah, my Iron Warriors are gonna put gunmetal charcoal over their trim as well.
Yeah, and I'm going to use blue charcoal on my Night Lords for their trim.
No.
And over their faces as well.
Yeah! Just going to dip their head in a smelter so their faces are all metal.
They're not called Iron Warriors for nothing.
Exactly. Savage, how are your first impressions on 30k so far? We've been playing 40k for a long time, and this is the first time we've kind of not been about 40k. It's been all 30k recently.
Same, but different, but still same.
There you have it. You heard it here first, guys.
Yeah, no, I mean it's different, but it's still very familiar to come from 40k and then go to 30k.
Yeah,
so
it's almost new and nostalgic at the same time. You find that? It's like, oh, this is new, but this is also very similar to 5th edition.
Yeah.
At times, you're like, this is 5th edition, but it's also new, an 8th edition. It's it's a weird feeling.
Yeah, this thing for me is the variety of models, because it is only Space Marines, so they're able to do a lot more than what they can in 40k as well. So there's a lot more variations. You get more special units for each army and stuff like that.
Yeah, one of the things that I find also kind of strange, and this is kind of going back to 5th edition as well, is I always found man, it's so boring to go up against Space Marines. Space Marines everywhere, I play Space Marines, I'm gonna go up against a guy that plays Space Marines, and now it's you're going to a game where you're basically only gonna play Space Marines. You will, I guess you could play other ones. Obviously you can, but you probably won't. I mean, let's be honest. Kelt is a thing. But it's exciting to go up against Space Marines, because you're I'm a Space Marine, I'm going up against another Space Marine. It feels more exciting in 30k than it does in 40k going up against Space Marines.
But you're not going up against the relatively vanilla. That's a big difference. There's a weird power level in 30k. Things put out an incredible amount of damage, but also without and they should know no fear. You can break troops a lot easier. So things are weaker, but putting out more power. So there's a really bizarre balance. You could kind of slaughter someone's forces very early in the game, but then little bits can rally much stronger than they could before and do some serious damage. It's interesting.
I mean, they're weaker when they come to morale, but at the end of the day, they're also still Space Marines, so they're very forgiving. You could screw up and still, be around and hang in there to the very end, and you do put out a lot of power, but at the same time, you're still a Space Marine, so you can take a lot of damage. So it's it's a strange kind of thing. You're oh man, I have a squad of 5 plasma gun guys, and I'm bringing that into a 750 point Zone Mortalis game, like I did. It's these guys are gonna put out a lot of firepower. They gotta kill a lot of Space Marines, but it's at the same time, it's I'm going up against a lot of Space Marines. It's I'm gonna be able to take out chunks of Space Marines, but they're gonna have something that's super strong. It's gonna take out a bunch of mine. It's I got plasma guns. You got veterans with the sniper special rule, shooting me with ep6 bolts and stuff. With your rending shots. So it's very. I feel the game definitely is fairly balanced within itself, contained in 30k. I'm of the opinion that it doesn't balance so well outside, going up against other 40k lists. I know that's kind of a big discussion that people think, people say, oh, it is balanced. You can play 40k with your 30k stuff. I don't think you can. I mean, you can, obviously. I don't think it's balanced, still. So what are your thoughts on that? You've kind of had some experience.
I played 1 or 2 games like that with 70k, as we're calling it. it's difficult playing a much more experienced player at the time, but the way they're made up and the things you can take for certain points and the bonuses, like we said, the mass power and the unique units seem to have a lot more specialized stuff. So it doesn't quite come out in the wash, but it can be interesting.
Yeah, no, Savage, you haven't had any experience when it comes to 30k versus 40k, but just going off your experience of having played 40k for a long period of time, how would you feel that a 30k army would compare going up against a 40k army?
I don't know. I'd never really want to play a game like that, just because they are different rule sets, in a sense. I don't know. I have a feeling some 40k armies would just crush 30k armies because they still are Space Marines, and there's always the power lists out there and stuff, which is something also good about 30k. Is there are stronger builds, but it's still Space Marine versus Space Marine at the end of the day.
Yeah. For what I've seen, it's a 30k list that generally seem to be stronger. I mean, if you're going up against a 40k list that is a tournament list, is a list that is designed to win tournaments, then I think it will crush a 30k list purely because the 30k does seem to be a little bit more fluff orientated. I'm sure you can make something pretty devastating, but it does seem to be more kind of fluff orientated. But if you're going up against a mediocre or just an average 40k list with 30k armies, I think the 40k list will just get shit all over. And I've seen it happen. Personally, I saw a very nasty Chaos Demons army just get decimated by an Alpha Legion list. And it's just you have things like a 20-man squad of Space Marines getting buffed to Ballistic Skill 5 from a Master of the Signal, then double shooting, double shooting their bolt guns, and then you have the Spartan assault tank with its quad las cannon things shooting down monstrous creatures like crazy, and the mass bolter fire is taking down the troops like crazy. You have the Master of Signal doing orbital strikes and stuff, and it's it can just the average things from 30k, in my opinion, seem a lot stronger than the average things from 40k.
Look at Fury, the Legion. Mm-hmm. If you don't move, you get to double fire. You could double rapid fire. That's crazy amounts of firepower coming from a unit, especially if you're bumping them or naturally getting Ballistic Skill 5. That's
if you're Ballistic Skill 5, a squad of 20. If not, I think they can go up to 30 or whatever, but I see mostly squads of 20. Rapid firing, that's 40 shots already, and then you're doubling that. At Ballistic Skill 5, that's insane. That's absolutely insane, and that's an average unit. That is not like a Death Star or anything like that. That's an average unit in 30k.
Yes,
and a pretty common
tactical squad.
And a pretty common unit. Yeah, with the Master of Signal, which is also pretty common.
Or just Imperial Fist.
Yes, Seb, we know how you feel about Imperial Fists.
Jesus Christ, Seb, do you want some ice for the burn that you're feeling right now?
I really want to do some Imperial Fists now. I mentioned 1,000-point army just for Zone Mortalis. I think it's going to have to be Imperial Fists.
Definitely. I look forward to it. But then again, it's weird. You have these. It definitely. If you're playing one legion against another legion quite regularly, as I am with a legion that I won't mention,
could it be Imperial Fists?
It might be Imperial Fists. Yeah, you do find yourself building around each other somewhat, and for instance, I wasn't taking any contemptors in my original list because I was just going to keep it to dudes, but I was getting just mowed down by mass bolt fire. But you add in some things with armor, and if everyone's taking bolters, they're having finding it difficult. Although, here you go, fun story. Last night, one 10-man squad somehow managed to get behind 2 contemptors, and in 2 turns of shooting, destroyed the back of 2 contemptors.
Pretty bad.
That is pretty bad.
Is that because you don't use your loaded dice in those games, though?
Yeah, I actually had to use his dice last night. I forgot my own.
Savage, you need Seb to lend you his ice for that burn that you're feeling.
I'd like to plead the 5th Amendment.
But But yeah, no, it becomes an arm race almost like that, you know, where when you're playing against the same person and you're kind of building your list to go up against those, because it's like, you know, one person's like, you know, I'm gonna add this, and then that becomes really good, and then the other person's like, well, I'll add this to counter that, and you're like, well, I'm gonna add that to counter this, and it just becomes like an arm race nearly.
But we have got ourselves in a nice place where it are really fun and really close games. It's it's a good game when it's all about what's going on end of turn 5 or with Imperial Fist forcing turn 6. So good stuff.
Yeah,
Still haven't beaten them yet though.
yeah, it's really fun, and going into that, I guess, talking about Imperial Fist a lot, how we feel kind of the tiers go for the legions. Obviously, you have some legions that are just not represented, so you know we have no idea how they're going to work. But I look into it quite a lot just because I don't play tournaments anymore. I don't like to build lists for tournaments anymore, but I still like to see kind of how people think and how people feel and how they would rank and tier it. And I also watch a lot of battle reports as well, so I can kind of see myself. So I definitely have an idea of how I think tiers would go in legions, and I can definitely see that there is some that are a lot stronger than others. As far as I could see, a lot of the weaker ones come from the earlier books, and then a lot of the stronger ones are coming from a little bit of the later ones. Or I think it was like book 2 or 3. I think it was book 3, where like a lot of the strong ones are in like book 3. What are like your thoughts on Seb, if you know, since you have this thing for Imperial Fist, just from seeing the rules for other armies and such,
Yeah.
do you see some that stand out over others?
Well, people often say the Alpha Legion and the Imperial Fists are up there, with the sort of the top two as far as the list go, the rules go. But with the Fist though, forcing turn 6 can really change a lot of things. There does seem to be some balance to those things. And again, like the Raven Guard infiltrating outflanking is amazing. That's going to be at least middle to middle upper tier stuff. But then you are limited with vehicles. But then again, more death, and they are a deadly addition, unique squad. So I think maybe that there are much stronger armies, but hopefully their unique characters and units kind of balance that out.
Yeah, it's they do for the most part. I mean, Savage. I don't know if you've looked too much into the other armies, but does anything jump out to you in terms of being stronger than the other?
From stuff I've watched, Alpha Legions, like certain things they can take and special rules that they have seem to be pretty like they're one of like the tougher armies to go up against, I guess. But other than that, I haven't really looked into too much of it.
Yeah, from what I have seen, Alpha Legion are definitely up there, but above them is Imperial Fists are one of the big ones, purely because of their bolter discipline, getting that ballistic skill 5, and then they have like the breaching shield guys are pretty strong as well. Just a lot of good rules, and their downside, yes, the turn 6 thing can screw you over when it comes to objective-based games, but at the same time, in my opinion, it wouldn't be the end of the world, because I'm like, I know the game's gonna go to turn 6 possibly, so I just my strategy is now that I gotta know. To me, it's almost like a benefit because you're not worrying about that roll. Because I mean, you just saw it in the last one. We got screwed over by it ending on turn 5. Because we're like, it'll probably go on a little bit longer. No, it didn't. It ended. So Imperial Fists are definitely up there, and then I've actually seen Iron Hands. A lot of people have been saying Iron Hands are really good because they have a thing where incoming fire is reduced in strength.
Oh wow!
Which, in all respect, is basically saying you have +1 toughness in a sense. It's like now your bikes are kind of like that toughness 6, and your dudes are like that toughness 5. Like that is pretty huge. So that one I see a lot. And then Alpha Legion, obviously, they got some cool rules. They can take, basically, a lot of their guys can take AP3 daggers. I think they're only like strength 3, but you're going up against other Space Marines. And again, all these things are fluffy, so they're not a bad thing. It's just some are stronger than others. Salamanders are kind of up there as well. A lot of their things they can take, like storm shields. I believe they're like one of the only ones that can actually take storm shields in the Horus Heresy, so that's pretty huge. And then, like you were saying, Raven Guard actually came up quite a lot. They have pretty good rules as well, with their infiltrate, outflank, and then the guys that don't get that get a bonus as well.
Yeah. Plus, you Morn can give everything drop pods and give you crazy drop pod rules and stuff as well. And
they do have a negative effect when it comes to how much vehicles they can take, but at the same sense, 30k is actually about dudes on the board. Like, the more dudes you have, from what I've seen so far, is actually kind of an advantage there to you. So Raven Guard definitely up there. Every now and then I see people say about Iron Warriors purely because they have one where it's like they don't have to take morale checks from shooting attacks or something similar like that. I can't remember the rule exactly, but that was pretty big. Night Lords I don't see a lot, but there's a few things that make them good. A lot of this stuff can get can cause fear, which I guess is a lot better at 30k than 40k. The biggest weakness, though, is when a warlord dies, they all take leadership checks, which is a huge negative effect. But they also have abilities where they can cause night fighting, and they all have night fighting, so more fluffy than like a really good rule. But yeah, all the rules are really good. Obviously, there is ones with a higher tier, and if I was making an army and I was going to pick it based on rules, I definitely wouldn't have picked Night Lords. But that's not where the fun is for us, at least when it comes to that. And then I haven't seen a lot on the original ones, like the Sons of Horus, Emperor's Children, Death Guard, World Eaters. Don't see a lot of them making into the top tier. A lot, which I guess makes sense since they were the first ones to come out. It was kind of like, here are the rules, and then when they got more comfortable making rules for 30k, it just kind of happens, a little bit of a power creep. But for the most part, it is very balanced, a very balanced game, which I think people have issue with 40k of it not being balanced.
And like you said, the balance and it's all fluff pushed, which is just a really nice thing, I think.
Yeah, for the most part, the Horus Heresy games are more based around campaigns, and they give you a lot of rules for making campaigns and story-based games. I think that's really where the fun is going to come out of it, is just enjoying. It's almost like role-playing in a sense in my mind, where it's like we play 40k for so long, we talk about the Horus Heresy and we read about the Horus Heresy, and now it's like we're going back and just like having fun, like messing around with Horus Heresy characters and battles and things like that, and it's almost kind of like a role-playing in a sense, or like a kind of like a military reenactment that you'd go see, like dudes, they dress up in like a Civil War reenactment, something like that. That's almost what it feels like to me.
And because it's so vast, and the period of time and the battles are just so, they cover like it's 10,000 years worth of stuff that you can use. That you can create any scenario or reenact any scenario.
What about some kind of negative sides to it? Savage, I'm going to start with you first on this one. I would like to assume obvious reasons, but
Seb's cheatsy dice. No.
My digital dice.
I think the biggest thing it's not so much a bad thing for it, but it is kind of a little bit silly. Is not silly, but like how there's the fucking, what is it, Rite of War?
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever, that lets you take Terminators and
Veterans.
There we go. I'm retarded today. Sorry, sir. Let you take them as troop. So, I don't know. I feel it's kind of redundant being able to take them as troop when, like, because then you're not going to get many people just playing normal troop sort of thing. Like most games I've seen as well, everyone's taking mostly veterans, sometimes Terminators as well as troop.
It is definitely something that does come up a lot. It is the most used Rite of War that I've seen, and a lot of games people take it because you're probably going to be taking I mean, let's be honest. Like most people are going to have Calth, which is Terminator's veterans. Most people are going to play with Terminators anyway, and the cheaper way to do it is to play with veterans because you don't need as many. So it is the go-to thing to do, and it is very strong. So I can definitely see that as a down point because it's like you have all these other ones that are probably not going to get used because that one is so good. The downside to it isn't even as bad either. The downside is that if all the Terminators and all the veterans are dead, you give up an additional victory point. If all of them are dead, you've probably lost the game anyway. I mean, let's be honest.
This came into my head last night when I was playing, and I was like, yeah, I need the extra victory point, but I don't think I'm going to get it.
I mean, Seb, I think you've played every one of your games with that Rite of War, correct?
No, I've used Decapitation and Strike a couple of times.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing is that I'm getting for what I have is the preferred enemy independent character, which going up against one Praetor is not really a bonus. But the thing that balances out the Pride of the Legion thing is with veterans you don't get the Fury of the Legion, but then you can't move to use Fury of the Legion. So it's one of those things. But then
you do get Sniper or Tank Hunter or Furious Charge or whatever their special rules are. So
yeah.
The biggest thing for me about it as well is like, because all the legions have their own like special. Is it Rite of War?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Like they all have their own, but the vanilla one seems to be the best out of all of them compared to other ones. Like, because I know for Iron Warriors, like most of them, you get like your special units if the Legion has them. So you like get your special units or whatever for Iron Warriors or Raven Guard or whatever. But then there's always like a big downfall, like with the Iron Warriors one, like you have to take more heavy support than fast attack in a list. So like if I have one fast attack, I need to take at least 2 heavy support choices in a list.
Yeah, I'm right there, like with that. I can agree with that right there, because where I'm at, Night Lords have Terror Assault, whatever it's called. You get drop pods for dudes, and Terror squads become your troop. But they have to fill your compulsory choice, and you have to have 3. So your troops are going to be the Terror squads, which are basically veterans, but they don't get that special rule. They do have some special rules on their own, but they can't take a lot of the special weapons. They can only take a flamer. And they have precision shots and preferred enemy infantry. So they're a good unit. They're a good anti-infantry unit. But I'm at a point where it's like, would the other one just be better taking veterans? They're about the same points. Also, I can only have 1 heavy support choice if I take that because of the Night Lords thing. You can only take the 1 heavy support choice, and there's a lot of limitations to that. And it's like, would I just be better off getting my Terminators to be troops and getting the veterans as troops? Because the veterans are amazing, Terminators are great, and one of the good things about Night Lords is I can make them teleport. So I can have deep striking Terminators that are troop, which is a huge bonus as well. I feel like it's not a huge downside to it, but I definitely can see Savage's perspective when it does come to that. Like, it does make it so there is a very common one that you see, and there's less kind of variety in that sense, where there probably should be, because Pride of the Legion does represent a very elite force of your army. But I guess it has its own kind of fun aspects as well, because most of the books that you read in Horus Heresy are all about the elite dudes as well, for the most part. Like, it's all about, like, your captain, and then his veteran friend that has his squad that he commands, and then it's like it kind of would play like that, and that's kind of fun there. But I can definitely see the downside to it and it negatively affecting the game.
I think it comes down to the whole Pride of the Legion or not Pride of the Legion, the vets or normal guys. There's two factors. Are you going to get them into combat to get the bonus attacks and leadership and stuff? And are you and how many do you need? Like, if you want to go for the smaller squads and you can survive and do a specific role that way, veterans will always take the day. But if you want a 10-man squad to either just hold something or to put a little bit more weight of fire in, the tactical squads can win, and you can look at other. I think the other rights wars are very specific and very niche to the whole way you're building your army. Whereas Pride of the Legion is very easy to take and just go, oh, just doing this and that, and it goes. It's just more off the shelf, ready to work, I think.
Yeah. I think veterans themselves don't even need to be in combat to be effective. They can be effective shooting just with their sniper ability.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, plus they can take their special weapons and heavy weapons.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
that's true.
If you have that going up against like a normal tactical squad.
And those get sniper as well.
Yeah.
So, I think they're very powerful shooting as well. So, especially with sniper, I mean, you're going up against Space Marines. Like, being able to get rending, absolutely huge. Because you're not just getting rending, you're getting massed fire for the most of it. It's not as massed as you could get with the other guys.
Yeah.
But it's, But moving on from that, Seb, what would your negative kind of things that you would have to say about 30k as of now?
Imperial Fists.
Yeah, Imperial Fists all day long. Now, there is something that we're all going to talk about is the amount of rules. So I'll go on to that in a minute. I'm going to have to say it because I don't have a lot of money. There is the Forge World price is a thing, but if you start saving up and look at what you want a unit at a time and bits and bobs and build it up, you can definitely get it. And there's definitely, as you guys found, it's quite easy to find, if they're not recent Primarchs, to find for pretty good deals on eBay.
Yeah, that's my big thing, is just not the Forge World prices necessarily for models, but just the availability of the rules. We've talked about it before. Celt is a board game. You can't pick it up and get the 30k rules. It's just not a thing, unfortunately. I would love it to be a thing and get one of those small little books that, like you do with the starter set for 40k in Celt. That would be amazing, but it's not going to happen. The availability for the rules is the biggest thing. The Forge World books, I've been told, are amazing. The actual big volumes.
Oh,
I've been told they're very nice books. And they do have cheaper versions of that in the more codex forms. But even then, the availability itself is not great, because you still have to buy it from Forge World, so you're still getting it shipped from the UK, which takes time and takes more money. And if you're not doing a big order and you're getting free shipping, like we did on our order, it does add up. It adds up a lot more, and that is my biggest issue, and what I think needs to be changed, because we are seeing quite a big exodus from 40k to 30k, from people that do battle reports on YouTube channels to just, ordinary folks like us that just, play casually, the hobby. There are a lot of people jumping ship from 40k, going back to, like I said, a more nostalgic game in 30k. Feels a lot more like 5th edition. I don't have much issues with 7th edition, but it is a lot more like 5th edition, and people like that. People don't like 7th edition.
It's musical chairs. So the Age of Sigmar people, so the Warhammer 8th edition people are playing nothing. The people that are playing Age of Sigmar are paying 40k. The people who are paying 40k are paying 30k.
Yeah, I mean, but it's Games Workshop's making money either way, and if you have a whole bunch of 40k people that are wanting to play 30k and they're throwing down money building new armies like we are, like we have 40k armies, and now we're throwing down more money to play 30k.
It's damn heresy.
Yeah, but why not make the rules easier to get, to make it people more inclined to actually play? I know they want to sell their Forge World books. Why don't stock them, why doesn't Games Workshop stock them, or at least stock the Codex version, so it's easy to buy in your country or whatever?
I think that is a rumor that it may be a thing that might be coming, but that is a salty rumor on the
Good.
in
That
the
means
middle.
I'm right.
Maybe that's what. Maybe that's what Cal's was like a tester thing.
Well, yeah, I
We
mean,
spoke about this last time.
yeah, we've definitely gone over that. And I think that it is. I think you're right, and I think it's paid off for them. They're making money, and I think they will make money. I think if they brought in 30K as a main line and just had like Forge World to supplement the Legion specific models, I think they would do fine. I think that's my biggest issue with it right now. Is like it is very accessible, and this is the best time to get into the Horus Heresy game. It's the best time to get into 40K in general right now. But they could do more for more people to join. And let's be honest, like if you're trying to get into 30K now because it's cheaper now, you're gonna be like us, and you're gonna probably have the PDFs of the books. I mean, no, we don't have that. We have everything legitimately. Forget about what I just said. But a lot of people.
HR is going to be in contact with you, Kieran.
a lot of people will.
Our
though.
legal department.
And that is not a bad thing. It's just an availability thing. If you can't get it easy enough, but you want to play and you want to buy the books, but you can't right now, you're going to. We've put down hundreds of dollars already, buying from Forge World, buying from Games Workshop. But you need the rules to play, and it's simple as that.
It's one of the things, like, people complain about the rules and complain about all sorts of stuff with Age of Sigmar, but everyone agrees having those rules out there for free is a great thing, and that you can just focus on spending your money on models and paints, and you can just play and just build that much more. Because as beautiful as those Forge World books are, they cost as much as a Primarch.
Exactly. Yeah. And you don't just need one. If you want to, like, yes, you could just get one, but a lot of them refer back to the other books.
Yeah.
And even like the smaller Codex versions, I mean, maybe we're, I can use that word, maybe we're dumb, and we can't find them, but a lot of times we're reading and it's like, where is this rule? Where is that rule? And then I look it up and it's like, someone's like, oh yeah, that was in Horus Heresy Book 1, Betrayal or whatever. And it's like, why? I'm not going to buy all these books. I could buy a massive army for that. And we've talked about that before, is everyone would prefer to buy models over books. So
and also, they haven't put a massive effort into making these books beautiful, wonderful, like leathery, touchy-feely, arty books.
But they fucking better be for the price.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not even how you want them anymore. If you're going to be kind of trying to get this game out there to the masses, people don't want to buy those books. I don't want to buy a book like that and have that around a table when I'm playing a game. I want to feel like I could beat it up a little bit and not feel like I'm ruining it. Codexes are expensive anyway, and when I spill a bit of super glue or something on my codex, I'm like, oh, God, really? Especially with the hardback ones. Softback ones, I didn't care, because, you could bend those, whatever. It didn't feel like it was too much of an issue. But the more quality that you put into it, the less I want to have it, because, we're eating, drinking, around a table playing the games, maybe we're not taking good care of the books, but, that's kind of the point. Like, we're playing games. We're not there to read the books. They're a reference.
Could you imagine trying to play a game too? And you're needing all the books? You'd have to bring a fucking bookshelf with you.
Yeah, exactly.
To, your hobby store.
It's one of those things where it's like, I even wish, and this would fix it as well. Make them digital. Make them available digitally. I mean, I would buy a digital version of not the big books, but the codex size ones. I would have already paid for it. Because...
And as we said, other people have confirmed that there are PDFs and things out there, so why not make it a viable option?
Exactly. I mean, people are already pirating it, so, make it digital so people can at least pay for it. So I'm not against paying for it, but, it's just the availability, really. I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks. I want to buy those smaller books, the codex-style books. I don't want to make a Forge World order and pay for the shipping. It's ridiculous. You know. So that's my negative thing, and I guess it definitely could be, changed in the future. But I feel like it's something that Forge World's not going to want to let up, though, because they have these books that like the little babies, like, we started this, you can't have it, Games Workshop, But we'll see.
You're not my real dad.
I'm the best you got, Seb. Any kind of final words you want to kind of touch on?
What is it? I was going to say, does that not go into to the rules? Kind of, that's one thing we were going to talk about, how like it just can be very difficult first few games just to try and keep track of everything, because you've got the 40k rules on the first level, and then there's the Forge World rules for the unit, and then Legion units and Legion rules. We're constantly forgetting extra attacks or extra strength and all sorts of stuff going on, but it does just take time.
Yeah, we're also stupid, so...
Yeah.
But, I mean, these are new armies, basically. Like, we've played Space Marines before, but that's like saying... I'm playing Tyranids, I've played Warhammer before, I know how to move my guys, I know how to roll some dice. But it's just those layers of rules that you do have to get used to, and it just goes with a new army.
Definitely.
And the fact that we don't play regularly enough, like, through the last 2 editions, we haven't really played super regular, so we're forgetting core rules, let alone, other ones. Or we're forgetting core rules. Seb's remembering them and then not telling us.
No.
Yeah, did you know that, Savage? Slow and purposeful. You don't roll 2 dice to move. It just stops you from running and all that. Seb conveniently remembered this right when he had Terminators that were moving.
Oh.
Yeah, not when we were the attackers trying to get from one side of the fucking board to the other end of the board.
Yeah, and then my Terminators get 4 fucking inches away from the door and then get shot to pieces.
Exactly.
Because Seb can come in anywhere on the board. Yeah.
It was all of our first game. I only realised after many more games.
No, it's fine, Seb. You just might remember some convenient rules on our turns as well.
But every game so far, someone has missed something somewhere, and it's just building it all back up. And I would have beaten you anyway, maybe.
Yeah, I'm sure you would have.
Oh man, there's definitely some.
Let's hope your interview with HR goes well this afternoon.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to that rematch. Honestly, there's some bad blood. Like there's definitely a rivalry there.
Yeah, my luck definitely has to break at some point, and I'm feeling like there's going to be some Iron Warrior vengeance coming soon.
Seb, are you feeling like you are better at 30k than you are at 40k?
I'm feeling that it's made me look at how I'm playing more, and definitely playing with a few more players and people being a bit more competitive about stuff. It's definitely made me look at things differently. And I did play, I broke out the old Chaos Space Marines and played a game with them against Sarah the other day. And I applied the more tactical stuff that I've been looking at in 30k to that, and that definitely helped me. So I don't know if I'm better at 30k, but it's made me a better player.
So you're saying we need to be harder on you because you just said that you've been playing with people that have been more competitive? So we need to break out the cheese lists?
Oh, the cheese lists. I thought we were still going easy for Seb.
Easy would be nice.
The fluff lists.
Easy would be nice, Seb, but the ladies don't like that.
Seb's down in his local game store, yakking it up with the hardcore cheesy bad players, with their super strong list, saying, "Oh, I play against these, battle bozos, and then they bring these fluffy lists against me, and I just want to come and just smash their faces in." Especially this one named Savage.
Yeah.
I don't want him to play Warhammer anymore. I want him to quit Warhammer. What can I bring?
It's like, well, first you're going to need some loaded dice, and then you're going to need a squad full of melters.
Melter bombs, yeah.
Melter bombs, yeah.
That was a beautiful moment, just opening that door and just 7 or the 10 man melter bomb hug
It shouldn't have happened. It was because Savage was dicking about with Vessel at the start of the game, rolling dice and moving around models, and you say, "Oh yeah, this squad has all melter bombs."
I'm pretty sure he muttered it under his breath.
I heard it, and the first thing he did was charge a contemptor at them.
Well, and you didn't tell me that he could come in anywhere on the board either. Which
That's
would have
true.
changed
That is
which
true.
would
But
have probably changed my deployment a fair bit instead of having them all bunched together. So Seb could just come right up my ass straight afterwards like a fucking prisoner as soon as someone drops the soap.
We were fighting in the prison, I suppose.
we were fighting in a prison.
But that just leads into we're all learning together. It's
It's easy to say that when
whore mouth, Seb. Shut your fucking whore mouth.
you're not the one that got absolutely abused, Sim. Poor Savage over there. After that game, I had to hold him in my arms and just make sure he's okay. He wasn't.
I know. I also won the
Have fun
last
at
game
HR.
and the campaign as a whole, but
Asterisk. You won the campaign. Asterisk.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But I was down to my literal last man battalion, one guy.
Oh, dropping some division references.
Just li-
You know who Seb is? Seb is Failau.
And no one likes Palau.
Yeah.
At this point, you're better than you're more ready to fight than I am.
Does that make you the JTF though, Savage?
Oh! That might be the worst thing you've ever said.
With that, I think that's probably the end of our episode. Yeah. Allies Index.
Fuck me, right?
Yeah, exactly. Fuck you.
Yeah.
But yeah, AlliesIndex.com for more geeky gaming goodness, and also check out AlliesIndex.com for the next rematch between Savage and Seb. We might have to do something a little bit special for that, and definitely make that a little bit more of an event, because that'll be exciting.
Yeah, let's do a live pay-per-view. I'll just bend over and Seb can just ram his cock in my arm.
Alright.
And then you can blow your load on my face, Seb.
I think I need to roll for that.
Apparently not, because you use loaded dice anyway.
So
Like, what's that? I need all sixes.
A rending.
Yeah, rending. Oh, so I need sixes. Okay, everything sixes. Alright, you're dead now, I think? Yeah. Oh, here, use my other special dice. Oh, you rolled all ones.
Alright, wrapping it up here, though. Once again, this has been Battle Bros for 30K first impressions. We'll be coming out every week with more Battle Bros. Really, anything, we could come up with anything. But definitely let us know if you'd like to hear something, in particular, our thoughts on something. We, play pretty much every new game that's come out so far. 40K, 30K. We don't play Age of Sigma, but we can share our thoughts on it. Everyone loves our thoughts on Age of Sigma. Basically anything, just let us know if you do want to hear anything in particular. AlliesIndex.com for more geeky gaming goodness. With me today was Seb.
It's been a pleasure.
And Savage.
It's like playing Savage.
Go fuck yourselves.
Tatted bye.
And I'm Toxic, and as always, have a good one.